So afterwards, and then Sukhasan they save as well. I think downstairs program is going to finish quite late because they're doing a Sukuni Sahib job. So that won't be till about 9 o'clock. So Samapti, Devandi Samapti, even downstairs is going to be very late. But I'll pass it over to Simon God, who'll be going through the first of the Panj Khand, so the five realms that I mentioned in Japji Sahib at the end. We've been speaking about over the last few weeks. I won't go into too much detail. I'll let Simon give the recap of the last few weeks. But yeah, pass over. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh. If you can just start with Mool Mantar and then we'll get into today's talk. Ek oankar Satnam Karta Purikh Nirbhau Nirvair Akal Murਤ Ajuni Sapang Gur Prasad Jap Ad Sach है भी सच नानक होसी भी सच आद सच जुगाद सच है भी सच भी हम परे एक गुण नाही अमृत झाड़ बिखाई माया मोह परम पै पुले सुतदारा स्यो प्रीत लगाई एक उत्तम पंथ सुनियो गुर संगत तेह मिलंत जम त्रास मिटाई एक अरदास पाठ कीरत की गुरु रामदास राखो सरनाई एक अरदास पाठ कीरत की गुरु रामदास राखो सरनाई वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. So if we just start with a recap of the last few weeks. 2 weeks ago today, Bhai Manpreet Singh went through and explained the first initial stage of worship. And then last week with Bhai Amandeep Singh, we went through the second stage of worship. And today, we are going through the first Khand, so Dharam Khand. Guru Sahib Ji introduced Dharam Khand to us, and this is the third stage of worship. Last week, in Asank Jor, Akhna Jor, Jupen Hajor, Jor na mangan de na Jor, Bhai Amandeep Singh went through and explained how Guru Sahib Ji humble us, and they make us understand that we have no power. We have no power to speak, no power to live, no power to stay silent, no power to die, to beg, to give. And at the end of last week's body, Guru Sahib Ji said, Nanak uttam neech na koi. Guru Sahib Ji make us understand, explain to us that no one is high and no one is low. And again, in essence, is humbling us. So today we'll be going through this third stage, Dhanumanasa. And the Siddhs ask Guru Sahib Ji a question. Well, they say to Guru Sahib Ji that within the Vedas, the Hindu scriptures, there are 3 disciplines. And those are namely Karam, action, Upasana meaning worship, and the final one, knowledge, Gyan. And they say to Guru Sahib Ji that, can you explain these? Can you elaborate on these? And they basically ask Guru Sahib Ji the law of karma, right? They ask how Karam work. And they ask that, what should we be doing in life, right? What is the correct way of living? Explain to the Siddhs that you've mentioned these 3 disciplines, but actually I'm going to explain 5 to you. So those being Dharam, which is what we'll go through today, then Gyan, then Sarab, then Karam, and the final one being Sachkhand, which is not much of a stage, it's more of a destination. It's destination of where we should be aiming to go to. Guru Sahib Ji start by saying Rati Rutti Thitti Var. So the Siddhs ask here about Garam, and they ask about the timings of Garam. So they say that the actions that we complete, is there a certain time that we should be doing them? At what time do we perform these different actions? And Guru Sahib Ji say Rati Rutti Thiti Var. So Rati meaning nights, right? Ratanu. Rutti meaning seasons, Thiti meaning dates, and finally Var meaning days. So in Punjabi we would say Somvar, Mangalvar, Bodhvar, right? So Guru Sahib Ji is referring to days. And Guru Sahib Ji said that people, they complete actions often according to these different, these 4 different things. So some complete different actions during the night, some according to seasons. In India, for example, they will complete different actions according to Holi or Deepmala or Basant. And there are others where people will perform certain actions according to different dates and different days. And we are, I guess, prone to this. We do this as well, where some actions that we do can be quite superstitious, or they can be quite ritualistic. And Guru Sahib Ji explained that actually certain actions people might prefer to do on the 1st of the month, or the 2nd of the month, or the 3rd of the month. And often it's this superstitious kind of understanding or their belief, it's this irrational belief that comes from agyanta, right? Lack of knowledge and doubt and ignorance. And some of us may be prone to, or when it's Friday the 13th, for example, we may not want to do something, or we may feel like it's an unlucky day. So Guru Sahib Ji explained that because of these superstitions, because of these thoughts, these ideas, sometimes certain days, certain dates, certain seasons, the time of the day, people find them some favorable than others. A few other examples in my family is they're very superstitious of the number 5. So any date that adds up to 5, they won't travel. For example, the 23rd, 2 and 3, they won't travel on the 23rd, they won't travel on the 14th. And I know I've heard about people how often they will find out and check about a certain date or a certain day for their child to get married. So they'll check if it's a favorable day, or if it's not favorable, then they'll avoid their child getting married on that day. There's often other things as well where people will decide that actually on certain days of the week they're not going to eat meat, they're going to be vegetarian. I know there's members in my family that decide that they're not going to eat meat on a Tuesday, a Thursday, a Sunday, but they'll eat meat on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, and a Saturday, right? So this is what Guru Sahib Ji is talking about, all these different superstitions, these ritualistic actions. But Sikhi is every day, right? It's nit. Even our Nitnem is every day. So we can't decide that we're going to follow Sikhi on a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, and a Saturday, but actually on a Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, Sikhi is not for us. Guru Sahib Ji explained to us that actually Sikhi is every day, and it should be the same every day. So I'm just going to open the floor to the Sangha. If there's any superstitions that you may know of, or are in, in your family, or you've heard of, that relate to days, dates, seasons, time of the day, or anything like that. Anji. Yeah, I've heard that one as well. I can't cut your nails at night for some reason. Darshan? So Darshan Kaur said that if you say Bloody Mary at 3 a.m, so Amrit Vela in the mirror, then she'll appear. Yep. I guess maybe some of us have heard that you can't wash your hair on certain days. I know, like, if you can't wash your hair on a Tuesday or a Saturday, different things like that. So yeah, these are all these superstitious beliefs. They're irrational, right? Due to agyanta, due to doubt or ignorance. But Guru Sahib Ji, they rebelled and they refused several different superstitions and several different ritualistic actions. If we take the Rakhri, for example, they were against and they rebelled against a Rakhri being tied on them, right? They said that Rakhri, it's not going to provide that Rakhya, it's not going to protect you. What's going to protect you is your Gatra and your Qurban, right? Then the Janeu, the sacred Hindu thread, that's another thing that Guru Sahib Ji rebelled against and refused. Idol worship, Guru Sahib Ji refused that. Another example would be at Hardwar. Many of us may have heard the Sikhi, where Guru Sahib Ji went to Hardwar and the people there were throwing water in the river towards the sun so they could send that water to their ancestor that had passed away. And Guru Sahib Ji started throwing water in the opposite direction and said to the when the Sangat asked, why are you throwing water away from the sun? Guru Sahib Ji said, I'm throwing this water to my crops in Punjab. And the people laughed and said, how on earth is the water going to get from here, from Hardwar, to your crops in Punjab? And then Guru Sahib Ji laughed and said, well, if this water isn't going to get to Punjab, which isn't too far away, how on earth is that water going to get to your ancestors that are much further away, right? Guru Sahib Ji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj say, Achari nahi jeetya jaye, that through these ritualistic actions that God cannot be won over, God cannot be found. And Guru Sahib Ji, they met, when they were during their travels, they met with a lot of sort of Pandits or Brahmins, and this is one of the things they said to one of them, that doing these ritualistic actions and sort of pretending and these superstitions, they're not going to get you any closer to WhyGuru Ji. Then Guru Sahib Ji go on to say, Pavan Pani Agni Patal. So, Pavan meaning wind, Pani being water, Agni is fire, and Patal meaning the underworlds. So Guru Sahib Ji replied to the Siddhs and say, other actions, people complete these other actions or perform these other actions according to these elements, right? According to Pavan Pani Agni Patal, according to wind, water, fire, and underworlds. Another art that can be done of this is ether. So if we take wind first, Pavan, Guru Sahib Ji explain that there are some people that choose to only consume wind, right? Only consume the air. They will complete actions and they will refuse any consumption of food and drink. And then Guru Sahib Ji also said that there are certain people that will face towards the wind or face in the direction the wind is blowing when completing certain actions, right? Then Pani, so for water, Guru Sahib Ji say that others may complete certain actions by standing in water. Some may meditate and do tapasya, tap, by standing in water and the water being up to their neck so they don't fall asleep and they don't get lazy. Guru Sahib Ji say that also water, some people perform these actions where they are trying to cast a spell on someone, for example. They will write it down on they'll write it down on paper and then put that paper in water and as a way of casting a spell. So Guru Sahib Ji explaining all these different things, that these different actions, whether they're good, whether they're bad, people can do them according to wind, according to water, and another one relating to water that we've spoken about before is Tirath Yatra. So how people will consider themselves pure by going to Tirath Yatra, places of pilgrimage, and bathing at rivers such as Ganga. Then fire, Guru Sahib Ji explained this idea of Panj Agan, that people will complete certain actions and will perform these actions when they have got fire in all four corners and they've got the sun blazing on them. So they've got the four corners with fire and then the sun, so that's Panj Agan. And through this is a type of fire worship. And then when it comes to Patal, Guru Sahib Ji said that often people will dig into the ground and sit in that hole or sit in the tarti and complete certain actions. And an example we can take from our history is that many saints have often lived in caves and sat in those caves and meditated for many years. We can even take the example of our ninth Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. Now if we go back to the line, a second arth or another translation, as I said, of Patal can be space or sky or ether. And Guru Sahib Ji said that some people, they will complete certain actions according to space or sky or ether. And an example is that sometimes some deities live up in the sky, and they create their abode and their home there. Then Guru Sahib Ji, this is where Guru Sahib Ji introduced Dharam Khand. Guru Sahib Ji say, "Tis vich tarti thap rakhi dharam sal." So this is the first khand being introduced. And Guru Sahib Ji here are saying that earth was created as a place of righteousness, right? That earth was created, and this is where we reside and complete righteous actions, which is what we are kind of put here to do. And also this which Guru Sahib Ji here, this refers to the elements that we spoke about in the last line. So Pavan, Pani, Agni, Patal. So with the wind, the water and the fire and the ether, the earth was created, and it was created as a place of righteousness. So now if we'll have a deeper look at what Dharam Sal means. So in Gurbani, similar words come up. For example, Pak Sal. Pak Sal is a place where you learn how to cook, right? So a kitchen. Then another one would be Path Shal. And this is a place where you would go to learn how to read Gurbani, how to learn how to do Path, right? Path Sal. Then when we come to a Dharam Sal, this is a place where you would learn of Dharam, right? So a place where you would go to learn about righteousness. And Guru Sahib Ji here is saying that earth was created for us to learn and practice Dharam. Earth was created for us to learn and practice righteousness. And so we are here, we are the play, and we are just playing out our actions. And upon these actions, we will be judged. We will be judged when we leave here. And this is what Guru Sahib Ji will explain further on, along in the Pauri. Now, if we think of Dharam, according to ancient Indian scriptures, the idea is that there's the heavens and the hells, right? And heavens and hell are referred to being as Bhog Bhumi. And this means that when you are in these places, these underworlds that we've spoken about a few weeks ago, Patala, Patalak, Agas, Agas, in these places, you are Bhog Bhumi, meaning the karams that you have earned, the karams that you have collected, here, they will all be played out. Right, so here, you any karmic debt, for example, that you have collected, it will be paid off here. Then the earth is referred to as being Garam Bhumi. So this means that on earth, you collect Garam. You collect this karmic debt by performing either good deeds or bad deeds. So therefore, whilst being on earth, we should be living a certain way, and we should be then earning a certain type of Garam. So then the question arises that what is the correct way to live? So what are the deeds that we should be committing on earth? What is the most useful thing to be doing in life? The same question that the Siddhs asked Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj. What is the most fruitful way of living? Right? Is it reading Gurbani? Is it going to see our Guru at the Gurdwara Sahib? Or is it playing PlayStation until really late, 4 a.m. in the morning? Right? What is the correct way to live? And Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj they say, Bin Simran jo jeevan balana sarp jaise arjari, nav khandan ko raj kamave ant chale gohari. Guru Sahib Ji is saying that without remembering WhyGuru Ji, Bin Simran, without meditating and remembering WhyGuru Ji, that our life is like it's on fire, and we live the life of a sarup, of a snake. Right? So if I was to ask everyone in this room, and I said that you could be any animal in the world, what would you choose? I don't think many of us would choose a snake, right? So if I was to ask Darshan, if you could be any animal in the world, what would you choose? A butterfly, yeah? Ripon? Not a snake. What would you choose? Not sure? Manpreet Singh? A lion, yeah? So I doubt anyone in this room would say openly that they would want to be a snake. Because when we think of snakes, They're those sorts of animals that we're often scared of. That a lot of us have maybe have phobias of them. If we see a snake, we'd probably try and kill it or at least run away from it. So Guru Sahib Ji is saying that without remembering WhyGuru Ji, we are snakes, right? We are living the life of a snake. Nav khandan go raj kamave ant chile go hari. That even those that rule the Navkhand, right, rule most of the regions on earth, right? Navkhand. Ant Jalango Hari, Ant which in the end Jalango Hari, that they will still har or har jandeya, they still lose, right? They still go here with nothing. They lose against this game of life. So Guru Sahib Ji go on to say, Tis vich jiya jugat ke rang, tin ke naam anek anant. So the first line translating to Guru Sahib Ji is saying that there are many, within this earth, within this world, there are many different beings, many different jeeves, many different creatures, and they have lots of different colors. They come in all different varieties. And the next line, Guru Sahib Ji say, Tinke naam anek anant. That these beings, these creatures, these jeev, they all have a different name, right? They have an infinite number of names. And they all complete anant. They complete so many actions, so many different actions. There's no limit on this action, on the actions that they complete. So Guru Sahib Ji is saying that everyone has a very unique name, everyone has a very unique face, everyone has a very unique size and shape. But then Guru Sahib Ji go on to say that regardless of your name, regardless of your face, regardless of your shape, your size, it will be your actions that will be judged in the end. They say, Karmi karmi hoye vichar. And Guru Sahib Ji here is saying that any spiritual and worldly actions that you do, karam, right? Karam means actions. So anything that you do spiritually, anything you do worldly, they will all be judged, right? Discernment. This is just a better word for being judged. So anything you do will all be judged. And this will be any good deeds that you do, any bad deeds that you do, they will all be judged, and you will receive the fruits of what you've done accordingly. So if we just look at Garam, right? So what is Garam? I know we've been over this before, but I just thought we'd just briefly touch upon it. What is the meaning of Garam? What is the meaning of this, completing actions? So these are not just things that we do physically with our body. These include our intentions, our thoughts, our words. So anything we do, anything that makes up what we think or do, it all comes under Garam. And then we can break up Garam into these three different types, right? You've got good Garam, so good actions, then you've got the bad actions, and you've got the selfless actions. And then if you relate to these, so good actions essentially will lead you to the heavens. Bad actions will lead you to the underworld, right? So the hells. And selfless actions, that will lead you to your true form, right? It will lead you to Sachkhand, that destination. It will lead you to merging and meeting with WhyGuru Ji. So the difference between good actions and selfless actions is the fact that, does anyone know what the difference might be between good actions and selfless actions? What would be the difference? Yeah, perfect. So you're doing, the selfless actions are without a desire. These good actions are often the ones that we do with a desire. So if we take the example of giving charity, we give, for example, if we give £100, we've got a business, we give £100 and we expect or we ask for tenfold. And we want, by the end of the month for the business to do a profit of an extra £1,000. So it's still a good action. You're still giving charity, right? But you're doing it with a desire. So it doesn't make it a selfless action. A selfless action would be giving charity because you want to give charity, not because you're hoping for something in return. Then the question arises that, then how can we become desireless? What can we do to become desireless? And this is exactly what Guru Sahib Ji is talking about now. They're talking about these khans and how these khans will lead you to become desireless and therefore lead you to the final khand of being Sachkhand. So first, we must start with Shubh Ichha. So we must start with the right kind of desire and a good type of desire. Then this will lead to Shubh Vicharana, and this is the right type of belief and the right type of understanding. Then the next one is Dharam. So your actions and your duties, they must be righteous, right? If you've got the right type of desire, you will get the right type of you will have the right type of belief, the right type of understanding, and therefore your actions and what you complete in life will be good, right? It'll be righteous. Then following Dharam, if you follow Dharam and you follow righteousness, you will gain Gyan, spiritual knowledge. And spiritual knowledge, it humbles you. And through this, you will get to Saram. And Saram translates to humility. And then through humility, it leads to Karam. And Karam means Kirpa, Guru di Kirpa. So it's this kind of chain reaction. So you've got Dharam Khand, Gyan Khand, Saram Khand, Karam Khand, and these three will be discussed in the next few paudiyaan. And then once you have a Guru di Kirpa, once the Guru blesses you, then you'll get to Sachkhand, right? And through obtaining the Guru's Kirpa, you will be able to obtain Sachkhand. You'll be able to meet and merge with Akal Purkh WhyGuru. And how good would it be, right? I don't know if you can see the sign. It's not very good. It's not very clear. But this is what we see on the motorway. So if you were to go to Sachkhand and you're just outside, and this is what's outside, right? This sign, meaning that you can enter. How good would that be? And how amazing would that feel? Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj say that Seva kart hoye nahi kami, tes ko hot parapat swami. That those that perform selfless actions, those people that do these actions without any kind of desire, tes ko hot parapat swami, that they will obtain Sachkhand. They will obtain the meeting Akal Purkh WhyGuru, meeting WhyGuru Ji. Now, if we look at this idea again of Karam and how we're all bound by this Karam, and we've spoken about Karam so many times, we've spoken about free will so many times, but this example of Baba Atal Rai Ji just shows that whatever we do, whatever actions we complete, they are all bound by Karam, right? And they all are within the will of WhyGuru Ji. So Baba Atal Rai Ji, they were the son of Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji, the 6th Guru. And though they were still a child, they were called and referred to as Baba because they were very wise. People often said that they carried a very wise head on very young shoulders. And as any parent, Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji Maharaj became very fond of Baba Atal Rai Ji. They had many powers, and often if they would say something, even if it was in a jokingly way, that whatever they said would often come true. So Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji would samjha and try and speak to Baba Atal Rai Ji and say that actually be careful with what you do, right? God has blessed you with many, many powers. Don't show them off and just be careful with what you do. And Baba Atal Rai Ji would always reply to Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji and say that, Guru Sahib Ji, you are the ocean and I'm just a mere river. So anything that I have, anything I possess is because of you. So Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji, they would in the evenings go and play with their friends. So they had a group of friends, and one of the friends' names were Mohan. And in the evening they would play a cricket baseball type game. So one evening they finished playing this game, and the friend Mohan had just finished his turn batting, and it was Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji's turn to bat next. So they said to each other, tomorrow morning when we play again, I will bat first. They all returned home, and that night, Mohan, the friend, was bit by a cobra snake. And because of the venom, because of the poison, Mohan passed away through the night. The next morning, Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji and the friends, they all gathered in the playground, in the area where they would play, but realized that Mohan was missing. One of the friends even made a comment that, he probably hasn't come because, it's your turn to bat. So what they did, the friends got together and they went to Mohan's house, only to find his parents and relatives mourning his death. And Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji, at this age, I think they were only 9 years old, and they go over to Mohan and they say that, Mohan, wake up, right? You can't have passed away. Wake up. It's my turn to play. Let's go and play. And instantly, Mohan wakes up, right? So he comes back to life. And naturally, the parents were very happy that this had happened. And the children, they all went and played. They went and played the game that they were playing. And when Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji returned to Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji, and the news had spread like wildfire that the son of the Guru had brought someone back to life, Guru Sahib Ji spoke to Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji in quite a stern way and said, what have you done? When people come to us now, they'll bring someone that's passed away and they'll ask us to bring them back to life. Then what will we say? Who will you bring back to life and who will you leave dead? Right? And Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji realized that they'd made this mistake and realized that they would have to make a sacrifice, that someone would need to go in Mohan's place. They thought about the shahidi of their grandfather, Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, and how they went through the torture. And Baba Atal Rai Ji said to Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji that I know that I must give a life in return. They needed to make up for their mistake. So Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji, they bathed in the Sarovar, they did Parkarma of Harmandir Sahib at that time, and they sat near Khalsa Sarovar and they read Sri Japji Sahib, and then they left their body. And this is a Gurdwara Sahib, Gurdwara Baba Atal Sahib, and it's south, just a little bit south of Harmandir Sahib, and it's one of the tallest buildings in Amritsar Sahib, and it was built in memory of Baba Atal Rai Sahib Ji. So then Guru Sahib Ji go on to say, Sacha Aap Sacha Darbar. That Sacha meaning true, that WhyGuru Ji themselves are true, and Sacha Darbar, that Guru Sahib Ji's, their court, Darbar is sometimes referred to as a court, is true, and also their Sangat, their Sad Sangat that sits in that court is true. So the question might come up that why is Sad Sangat true, or why is Sad Sangat so valuable, or why can Sad Sangat be so life changing? Well, as we discussed downstairs as well during the Katha, that Sad Sangat, it destroys our ego, right? There is no place for ego where there is Gurbani, where there is Naam. So if we go to the Gurdwara Sahib, we may think that before you go in, oh wow, I go to the Gurdwara Sahib every day, you know, I'm so great, and you may have that ego. Or I read, you know, this much part, I read 3 Japji Sahibs a day, that, you know, I'm so great. But when you get to the Gurdwara Sahib and you sit in Sad Sangat, then you realize that actually there are people that come to the Gurdwara Sahib 2, 3, 4 times a day. There are people that do 4, 5, 6, 7 Japji Sahibs a day, right? There are people that come at Amrit Vela and then they come in the evening. When you see all of these things, it destroys your ego, right? So in Guru Sahib Ji's Darbar, in Guru Sahib Ji's court, where there is Naam, where there is Gurbani, there is no place for ego. And you can even think of ego and Sad Sangat on a more, like in your daily lives. So you can think of it and refer to it as Sangat at work, your family, your friends. There are many different opportunities that you can face and you can take humility from. An example that I can give you from my own personal experience is that when I was first working up in Birmingham, so I work as an optometrist, and I used to work for Boots, and I thought, you know, Boots Opticians, it's a big brand. It's, you know, got so many stores across the whole of the UK. And then when I came here and I tried to find a job here, I now work for a firm that is very, very small. It only has 2 stores, right? So there's one in London and there's one in Surrey. And before I started, I thought, you know, I had the upper hand. I'd had that ego to think, wow, I worked for such a big company, so I think this will be a doddle. I'm not gonna struggle with anything, and it should be really good. But when I got there and realized that actually there's people that know so much more than you, there's people that are so much more advanced than you at work. The processes in this very, very small business, this business that's got only got 2 branches, and they've got so many, the procedures are faster, everything they do is faster, it's so much easier. And I realized that in a very short amount of time, in just a year of working there, I realized that actually, this smaller place is much, much better than where I worked for quite a few years. So it really humbled me. So we should try and take any situation, any opportunity where we are with Sad Sangat, whether it be at the Gurdwara Sahib or whether it be in our daily lives, and we should try and humble ourselves and try to destroy that ego. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, they then go on to say, Tithe Sohan Panch Parvan. And the Guru Sahib Ji here, they are referring to saints, Panch meaning saints. And Tithe, Guru Sahib Ji are talking about that Sad Sangat. They're talking about that court. That in that court, there are beautiful, beautiful saints, and they are all accepted. Because those saints, they listen, and they accept, right? They man the teachings of the Guru. And they remain humble, and they act with these virtues of humility, compassion, and content. And these are the virtues that we need to take upon. Compassion, content, humility. And if we can't, then we should need to stay in the Sangat, we need to stay in the company of these saints, so they can show us the way, they can help us. Then Guru Sahib Ji say, Nadri karam pavai nisan. That Nadri referring to the graceful gaze of the Guru, the graceful glance of the Guru. Karam again referring to the actions, pavai meaning to obtain, and nisan meaning this sign, this marking. That those saints, again referring to the saints, they obtain this graceful gaze of the Guru through the actions that they complete. Through those selfless actions that those saints complete, the Guru rewards them with their graceful gaze, right? Their kirpa, the karam kand that we spoke of. And this leaves that marking upon their forehead. And all of our Gurus, all of our Guru Sahibans, they have this very graceful gaze. And one that you may have heard of is Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, and they had a very healing gaze. Their glance was known to be very healing. And Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, they would wake up at Amrit Vela, they would bathe, and they would sit to meditate. And at dawn, they would go to the Dharamsala, so where the Sangat congregates, and they would listen to Sri Japji Sahib, and then they would listen to Asa Ki Baar after this. The Rababi would perform Kirtan, and Guru Sahib Ji would do Katha. And after this whole Diwan, then the Sangat would disperse and they would carry on with the rest of their day. And Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, they were known to have this healing glimpse, this healing gaze, and whoever they looked upon, any members of the Sangat, it would relieve them from their diseases. And any diseases that the Sangat may have had, they would be dispelled in just an instant. Whether it be from something that started from birth, if it was genetics, if it's something physical that happened in an accident, a natural disaster, an insect bite, animal bite, anything. The most fatal diseases were cured just by Guru Angad Dev Ji's healing gaze. So many would travel far and wide, long distances to be blessed by Guru Sahib Ji. So in the morning, when Guru Sahib Ji at dawn would leave from their meditation and they would go to the Dharamsala, many of the Sangat would attend and they would stand in the path or stand in the path where Guru Sahib Ji would be walking to get to the Dharamsala. And people would be waiting for Guru Sahib Ji's arrival to be blessed with Guru Sahib Ji's graceful glance. And there could be people that arrived, that couldn't walk. They were put on beds. And just by Guru Sahib Ji looking at them, they would be able to return home by walking on 2 feet. And Guru Sahib Ji were very, very compassionate. They would attend to the poor and attend to the sick in a very comforting and compassionate manner, and they would spend hours and hours healing them. And Guru Sahib Ji, they healed numerous people, numerous lepers that had been abandoned by their families. The most fatal diseases were all healed just by Guru Sahib Ji's nadari, by their graceful gaze. And we can compare this to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj now, that when Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj they are Prakash at Amrit Vela, it's the same way, it's that same graceful glance that Guru Angad Dev Ji were healing people with, healing members of the Sangat with so many years ago, and that is the same graceful glance now. Then Guru Sahib Ji go on to say that Kach Pakai Uthai Pai. So Kach meaning unripe, Pakai meaning ripe, Uthai there, and Pai meaning occurs. That within the court of WhyGuru Ji, the ripe and the unripe actions, they will all be judged, right? So they will all be deliberated on, and kach meaning kacha, right? If we say that, if we take a banana for example, if it's kacha, and then if we take a banana when it's pakka, so in that place, only in that place, Uthai, in that place of Guru Sahib Ji, WhyGuru Ji's court, it will all be judged, whether our actions are kache or whether our actions are pakke, whether they are ripe or whether they are unripe. Often, we may think that actually that person is very pakka, right? Everything he does is perfect, right? He's very dharmi, very compassionate, but no one knows anything. It may look like that, but actually the real judgment of whether that person is kacha or whether that person is pakka will happen in WhyGuru Ji's court. Then Maharaj Ji say, Nanak gaya japai jaye, that Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj here are replying to the Siddhs, because the Siddhs asked Guru Sahib Ji that you're talking about these actions and about them being judged, whether they're kache, whether they're pakke, whether they're ripe, whether they're unripe. Well, do you need a witness? Do you need a witness to tell you about that person, that individual's actions, whether they've done good or whether they've done bad? And Guru Sahib Ji reply with this pankti. They say that Nanak gaya jape jai, that the Guru Sahib Ji, they know all, right? They are the knower of our hearts, that no one needs to tell them anything. And we've spoken about Chittar and Gupat, right? Those two angels that kind of that sit on our shoulders. And one records what we do through the day, and one records what we do through the night. So all of that's recorded. But Guru Sahib Ji is saying that regardless of that, still, WhyGuru Ji, they are the knower of our hearts. They know everything. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj say that bin bakne bin kehne kahavan antarjami jane, that without being spoken to, without being told, antarjami jane, that they know everything. They are the knower of everything. Now, if we come back to this slide about how Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj say that without meditating on WhyGuru Ji, without remembering WhyGuru Ji, that we are living this life of a snake. So, do we want to live that life of a snake? Right? None of us want to live that life. And what is the correct way of living? We looked at that. And how do we become selfless? How do we start doing these selfless actions? Well, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj have already told us this. They've explained this to us, funnily enough, earlier on in Sri Japji Sahib, when they said, Taul taram deya ka poot, santok thap rakhya jinsut. That the right way of living is born out of compassion, and contentment is that string that binds everything together. So through compassion and through santok, contentment, that is the right way of living, right? So that is the right way in the dharam to live. Just as we said the saints did. They live by compassion, they live by humility, and they live by santok, contentment. And if we live by compassion and if we live by contentment, then our actions will become selfless, and we can obtain that true form that we spoke of, that Sachkhand. We can merge and we can meet with WhyGuru Ji. And just a final message, and I guess some food for thought that I found quite interesting. When we think about how we should live our lives and when should we start living the correct way. Because sometimes people think, or, we may think, oh, I'm only, this age, I'll start living the right way, or I'll start meditating at 30, I'll start doing it at 40, I'll start doing it at 50, 60. So in the time of Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, Bhai Daru Popat came to see them at the very young age of 10 years old. And they are a good Sikh that are mentioned in Bhai Gurdas Ji Ki Awara, and they are also mentioned in a scripture known as Sikhi Bhagat Mala. And they are described, and this is described where they went to see Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj at this very young age, and they say to Guru Sahib Ji that they saw their mother lighting a fire, and after the fire was lit, different logs were thrown onto that fire, small logs and larger logs. And they explained to Guru Sahib Ji that actually the shorter logs and the smaller logs, they would catch fire at a faster rate, and they would turn into ash and they would be destroyed before the longer and the bigger logs. And Guru Sahib Ji became quite prasanna, they quite very happy after hearing this. And Bhai Daru Popat said to Guru Sahib Ji that after seeing this fire being lit by my mother, that I knew I had to embrace a Guru, that I knew I needed to come and find you, I needed to go and see a saint and secure this happiness and secure my true form and learn from you the correct way of living, right? I needed to come and see you, because just as that fire with those logs, with the small logs being destroyed before the longer logs, if we relate that to death, Bhai Daru Popat said, then we don't know, when death will strike. It could strike at any time. So I knew at this very early age of 10 years old that I needed to come and see you. So I just wanted to leave that as just an end message, and for us to remember that our Guru is our guide and Gurbani is our guide, right? And if we embrace our Guru and if we get close to our Guru and we read Gurbani, through that we'll be able to pick up on these virtues, right? And obtain Guru Sahib Ji's blessings, their kirpa, and then obtain compassion, content, humility. So that brings us to the end of today. A quick recap of what we went through. So we looked at superstitions and ritualistic actions. So all these different actions, Guru Sahib Ji replying to the Siddhs when they asked about them, that some can be completed according to the time of day, seasons, the date, the day. There are actions that can be completed according to different elements, the wind, the fire, the water and ether. Then we looked at Dharamsala and how it is a place of learning and a place of practicing dharam, practicing righteousness. Then we looked at the different types of dharam. We looked at good actions, bad actions, selfless actions, and how selfless actions are the ones that we need to try and complete. Right? It's very easy to say, but it's very hard to do. Those actions that have no desire, where we are completing with no desire at all. And we looked at Sad Sangat and how being in Sad Sangat, how we can be humbled, how it can destroy our ego. And finally, Nanak Gaya Jappe Jai, that WhyGuru Ji, that Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj said that WhyGuru Ji are the knower of our hearts, right? They know exactly what we've done without being told and without being spoken to. Okay, so we'll just sing through the Pauri, and then if there's any questions, we'll go through those. Rati roti the vare, Rati roti the vare, Rati. पवन पानी अग्नि पाताल पवन पानी अग्नि पाताल पवन पानी तिस विच तरती थाप रखी धर्मसाल तिस विच तरती थाप रखी धर्मसाल तिस विच तरती थाप रखी धर्मसाल तिस विच तिस विच जीय जुगत के रंग तिस विच जीय जुगत के रंग तिस विच जीय तिन के नाम अनेक अनंत तिन के नाम अनेक अनंत तिन के नाम अनंत नाम करमी करमी होए विचार करमी करमी होए विचार करमी करमी सच्चा आप सच्चा दरबार सच्चा आप सच्चा दरबार सच्चा तिथा सोहन पंच परवान तिथा सोहन पंच परवान तिथा सोहन नदरी करम पवनिसान नदरी करम पवनिसान नदरी करम पवन काच पकाई ओथ पाए काच पकाई ओथ पाए काच पकाई नानक गया जाप जाए नानक गया जाप जाए नानक नानक गया जाप जाए नानक गया जाप जाए नानक गया WhyGuru WhyGuru Why WhyGuru 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 वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. Any questions?
Benji, I've got a question.
Oh.
What does it mean to live a life of fire? So going back to the Bhakti where Maharaj was saying that if you don't meditate, then you live like a life of fire and you're like a snake. So what does it mean to like live a life of fire?
So I think Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, when they're talking about fire, it's not being constant and just being kind of all over the place, for example, and just with your actions, everything, just not being sort of stable. I think that's how Guru Sahib Ji is saying it, that your life isn't stable and then you're living this life of a snake. And a fire, at one point, obviously, it will end, it will be destroyed, it will be finished, right? So I think that's what Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj are referring to there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Okay, I'll pass you back over to Sudeep Singh. WhyGuru Ji Ka Khalsa, WhyGuru Ji Ki Fateh.
WhyGuru, thank you, Ji. Just to add to that question, in terms of being like a fire, you can think about yourself in terms of a life of when you're always angry, you're always jealous, always got hate, always wanting more. It's like you're burning inside. So that's probably another way to look at it as well, that the person's always burning, and the idea similar to idea of not being stable, that like how fire always kind of, it's always rising. Do you get what I mean? You know, sometimes you've seen a fire yourself, right? Even especially when a fire gets out of control. In the same in our lives, we have no control. We can't control the fire. We can't control the anger. We can't control the desires. We can't control what's happening. It's out of our hands, basically, innit? So that's pretty much that like a snake. The snake has poison inside themselves, and that poison inside the snake, it's causing it pain. Right, the Z. That's why they're trying to release that poison in a lot of cases, right? And even in other cases, they're shedding their skin, right? So there's so much you can take from that if you just understand what a snake is, the properties of a snake, and what a snake goes through itself. Anyway, just to add to that as well. But thank you anyway. Thank you for coming. Was that a question or you just raising a chill? I thought, my man's gonna just jump in. Did you want to add to it? Okay, that's fine. So just to let you guys know, next week we've got the dodgeball tournament that's happening in Warwick University. It's going to be a really cool event. Guru Kirpa, the Seodas has smashed it, putting the event together. We've got 32 teams entered as well. So that's already going to be about 230, 240 people turning up just to play. If you guys want to come down, you're more than welcome to. We do need Sevadars. We need people to help out on the day. Even if it's just like, handing out langar. Even if it's just doing a car park seva, letting people know where to go. If you need a referee, Jay, you need a referee? Referee? Oh, maybe. I'll ask him afterwards, right? We need more referees for the day. So if you need a referee, you're good at telling people off, getting people off the court, you're more than welcome to come and help out. Just speak to one of the Sarah does afterwards, or speak to me if you catch me before I disappear once the program's over. Otherwise, just message us and please do get involved. But yeah, thank you so much. We've got a few more weeks left of the Japji Sahib course, and we're ending. So please do come. Next week there'll be Japji Sahib, but the week after there'll be a Shutti. The week after next is Nagar Kirtan, the 5th. So there will be no Katha and there'll be no Japji Sahib. But the week after for Diwali Bandi Chor, there most likely will be Japji Sahib. I don't know about Katha, but we'll see how the day goes. But we'll let you guys know next week the full updates on what's going to be happening for the next few weeks. ठीक है जी, we'll finish off here. We'll do Salok, we'll do Ardas, and then we'll take a Hukanama Sahib, and then do Sukhasandi Seva.